This is the all-electric BMW i4 M50. And i4 see this to be a seriously cool review. Why do you do these jokes? People hate them. And welcome to another Greg Dennis review. Check, I'm even wearing the right cap today. Welcome to the inside of the BMW i4 M50. And this is an all-electric BMW M performance car that's got some astronomical figures, like 400 kilowatts and 800 newton meters of torque. It's got two motors that drive this car. You've got one in the front and one in the back. Each of them puts out about 200 kilowatts and 400 newton meters of torque. So when you put your foot down, this thing blasts you into the future. You've obviously got launch control. And there's no needing to dig through menus and try and figure it out and work it and that sort of thing. It's a BMW, so it's simple. They want you to have fun and go fast. So all you do is you put it into sport mode, you put your left foot down onto the brake, you plant your right foot down onto the accelerator, and you let go when you're ready. That's it. And then all that happens is you leave your stomach in the back seat. And if you're familiar with other Greg Dennis Reviews videos on TikTok and Instagram, then I'll do the lanyard test by simply putting it into sport mode, selecting sport boost. I can quite easily now show you the effects that this car has on gravity. So simply watch the lanyard. And that's what's happening to your stomach on the inside of your body. This thing is so cool. There we go again. I'm sorry, lanyard. And you see, I thought about it. I put a soft little cover over here so that I wouldn't damage things. Safety first here at Greg Dennis Reviews. It's just, it honestly feels like you're driving a toy around. Except the batteries aren't double A's. They're 80 kilowatt hour batteries. And this i4 M50 sells for just under 1.7 million rand, where the BMW M4 is around 2.1 million rand. And the i4 M50 has got more power than that. You're just getting so much car and performance out of this for so much cheaper. But what's missing is what characterizes a BMW M car. And yes, this isn't a fully fledged M car, but when I'm comparing it with an M4, it just doesn't have that characteristic, that theater of that exhaust that's just blowing in the back of your mind here, that you can hear all the time. But what they've done to replace that is give you this orchestra of sounds to kind of evoke emotions while you're driving here, and they sound like this. So if you put the car into sport mode, I've set it up here individually. You've got a couple more modes within sport mode, but I've got sport boost set here. So when you put your foot down, yo, this car just goes. Man, this is such a cool sound. I feel like I just need to have lasers installed in the front of the car and I'd be flying through in one of those Star Wars pod fighters. It sounds like I'm being directed by George Lucas here in the front seat. Okay, let's calm things down a little bit. Go back into comfort. Your accelerator loosens up a little bit. It's not as direct. Your steering also becomes a little bit softer. And the car just becomes a lot more civilized. So now you can just continue with your daily commute as comfortably and effortlessly as possible. The drive is completely silent. The only little bit of sound that I'm hearing from the car now is actually coming from the air conditioner, and you can hear the aircon pumping. It's not actually a nice sound, but I guess when a car is this silent, you don't have much of an option. And then to speak a little bit more around the EV side of things, so as I've said, you've got an 80 kilowatt hour battery here. So you're looking at a range between 400 to 500 kilometers. I don't know how possible that is, but we'll take their word for it. If you find yourself around a fast charger, you'll find that you can get about 150 kilometers of range out of 10 minutes of charging. Now, we don't have a lot of like super fast chargers here in South Africa, but I think we do have 150 kilowatt to 200 kilowatt hour charger near Mall of Africa. I don't think it puts out those numbers, but it is capable of it. So if you had to plug the car in there to charge completely full, you're probably looking at about 40 minutes. And while you're there doing your shopping, your car's charging. And that's honestly really, really, really easy to live with. I'm not going to speak about what it's like to live with load shedding and all of that. I've done multiple reviews on some of the various Mercedes-Benz EQ cars that they have, and I speak quite a lot about that. So if you want to hear more about living with a car in South Africa during load shedding, then you can go watch the video up there and I'll tell you about that. Speaking a bit around driving comfort, there's not much more to say than it's seriously comfortable. This is a BMW, so it's been designed and developed with the driver in mind. And what they've done here is they've given you seats that hug you. They're comfortable, they're super soft. You can do long distances in this. Wherever you put your arms, it's comfortable. There's soft touch materials all over. You've got leather wrapped dash, you've got full leather seats, you've got a leather console that goes from the back to the front here. I mean, this car is as premium as it comes. So when you're asking 1.7 million rand for a car like this, I can get behind that. And right up front here, you've got these two massive digital displays. I don't think I've seen a display this long in any car. And the crispness and quality of these is just out of this world. Right in front of the driver, you've also got options of changing out the layout. You're able to see some of the EV functions. You can see how many G's you're pulling at any given time. The layout options aren't that different from each other, but I mean the options are there, and you can change what you see in the sense here too, from your efficiency to your maps to things like that, which is quite cool. And then here on the left hand side for your infotainment, it kind of works like a cell phone. You've got widgets that you can move around and change into different positions, and it's quite intuitive, and there's a lot to go through here. So if you do end up getting this car, make sure that you familiarize yourself with the system. It's very cool, but it's quite in depth, and being able to operate this is through the touchscreen, or you can use the infamous BMW iDrive system down here in the center. And because this is an EV, you can drive with one pedal. So one pedal driving is something that everyone should experience once in their life. So go test drive an EV and see what it's like. But to do that in this BMW i4 M50, you simply push the gear lever to the left, and the B comes up here to say that you're now in braking mode, I think. But anyway, now you can drive with one foot. So you simply accelerate and then take your foot off and the car brakes. So it's quite a cool system to have. You accelerate like this, drive like you normally would, but instead of putting your foot down on the brake, you simply tap off with the accelerator and the car slows down. So you can definitely drive like this in the city and neighborhoods. It becomes quite addictive, and it almost feels like the right way to be driving. It's not only a convenience benefit to the driver, but by using this regen braking, you are also allowing the car to recoup lost energy. So by braking and using the motors in reverse to let you slow down, it's sending that unused energy back into the batteries. So while you're using energy to drive, you're slowing down by recouping energy to give you more kilometers to drive from. Let's do some more Star Wars driving. So back into sport mode, make sure that it's selected sport boost, and geez, like this is cool. And I must say, the suspension, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. The suspension handles this really well, and if you are in comfort mode, like I just did there, going over speed humps and anything like that is handled really well. The car kind of just lands over those speed humps, and maybe it's just the weight of the batteries and that sort of thing that makes the car feel like it's a lot softer than what it is. But I'm really, really impressed with it. And something I really need to commend them on is their adaptive cruise control, the lane keep assist, the lane centering, and all of that smart tech. So it's probably the best system I've used in a car yet. It really is. And the reason I say that is because when using the adaptive cruise control, it doesn't give you this massive gap between you and the car in front of you. You are able to adjust it like in other cars, but What it allows you to do is to try and keep your speed a lot more than what you would do in other cars. So it doesn't slow you down completely, then speed you up and slow you down and speed you up. It keeps your speed very gradual, and I really enjoyed that because it's more of a natural way of driving, which I've captured. This BMW i4 M50 has been painted in Brooklyn Grey, one of my favorite colors from BMW. And because it's a lighter car, all of your M performance bits and pieces stand out. From your huge kidney grills in the front here, to the aero down the sides. You've also got this M styling on the side vents, the side skirts, as well as the back. You've got a huge diffuser that takes up the entire length of the car, and it really makes the car look wider and really sit lower. It gives it a lot of presence from the back. And because it's an EV, there aren't any exhausts, but there's still some styling around the back here to make it seem like they're... Bruh. Note to self, don't point at the diffuser, the boot will open. Up front, you've got these really cool daytime running lights and these blue accents inside the lights here to tell you that these are BMW laser lights. And what's cool about that is that these laser lights can brighten up the road up to 550 meters away. And then making our way down the side of the car, you've got these 19-inch M Performance wheels and M Performance brakes. So this is a proper M car with all of the stopping power that you need. And then coming down the side of the car, as I pointed out, you've got these vents that actually let out air. They do work, I promise you. You've got these widened side skirts. You've got these door handles that are flush and lock when you do that, apparently. I'm learning a lot of things from this review. But anyway, because they're so flush, it aids in the aerodynamics of the car. Just like those grills in the front there and these wing mirrors here with this point. Everything is purpose built. And then making our way to the fuel cap. No, it's not a fuel cap, but this is where you charge the car. You've got an AC point and a DC point. And then coming around the back, this is where you'll see your LED rear tail lights. You've got your M50 badging, your i4 badging, your BMW logo with the blue around it, which means that it's an electric car, and the diffuser that I pointed out earlier, which if you get too close to it, the boot might open. Oh, you see, now it doesn't when I want to show you. So you'll see I eventually did get it open, but my audio cut out, so I couldn't exactly tell you that. But once it was open, you'd be pleasantly surprised with how big the boot is. And you've conveniently got some nets on the side to store whatever you need. But unfortunately, there was no spare wheel underneath there, only a tire repair kit. And then inside the BMW i4 M50, you're going to be treated with M Performance bits everywhere. You've got this M style steering wheel with the blue and red stitching. You've got M badges on it. It's wrapped in Napa leather. Your seats are so soft and comfortable. Also, wrapped in full leather, you've got blue contrast stitching. You've got M Performance colored seat belts, which are so rad. And you've got M badges up in the headrests of each seat. Up on top, you're going to find blue contrast stitching as well, with soft touch materials on your dash. You've got gloss black and almost like aluminium styled trim going across the dash, which looks really smart. And then coming down the center, you've got more leather and more blue stitching. You've got a nice little space up here which you can charge your phone in. You've got two decently sized cup holders and an ashtray. In 2023, thought they'd put like a place there to hold your vape or something. Continuing down the center console, you've got BMW's famous iDrive system, which you can use to control your infotainment in front of you. You've also got the automatic shifter, which again is in blue, just like the start button next to it. You've got various buttons next to it to control your cameras, your park distance control, as well as your different drive modes, Sport, Comfort and Eco Pro. And then the center console, again wrapped in leather with blue stitching, is more than big enough and has a USB-C slot. And then looking at more of the practicality, you do have a glove box here which is lined in felt, which is really nice, so it reduces any noise and rattles that you might have in here. This is a sports car, so there should be a lot of insane, hectic driving that anything in your glove box is going to rattle. So the addition of this felt type material is quite nice. And then looking at the doors, again, they are wrapped in leather with blue stitching. The aluminium styling from the dash carries through onto them, which is quite nice. Soft touch materials on top here, a nice little comfy space for your elbow. And then down in the door bin, it is again big enough for a bottle of water, not anything too much bigger than that. And you've got the button there to open up your boot. This isn't a prop, I actually use it. We continue, and because this is based off of the coupe, the BMW 4 Series, you do have frameless doors, which screams sports car. And then looking at the screens in front of you, as I've mentioned when I was driving the car, you've got these huge displays that are actually curved. They're not joined in the middle, but you've got two massive displays next to each other. One of them is for your infotainment, where you can control the settings of the car, all of your media, everything to do with EVs, your drive settings. You can operate it like widgets, you can move things around, you can have it however you want it displayed. But what you do have to operate through this is your climate control. And if you click over there, you get a full climate menu where you can adjust the direction, the fan speed, air cons, dual, all of that sort of stuff, as well as your temperatures. But there aren't actually any physical buttons in here to do that. You have to go and do it through the infotainment, which is one of my big bugbears in the digital infotainment cars these days. And not to mention that you also have a really good and crisp 360-degree camera system that you can view anywhere that you want to see the car. And in 3D view, you can even see your car moving around you, which is pretty cool. But what you don't have to dig through the infotainment for is your volume control, which I've given you a nice little knob there to do that with. So that's quite handy. And speaking of the volume dial, this car is kitted out with a Harman Kardon sound system. 535 watts of Harman Kardon. It is beautiful. Up top you do have a sunroof. It isn't a panoramic sunroof, but it does open up a shade and it does open up completely, which is quite nice. So you do get some fresh air and a lot of light in here. And in front of the driver, as I've said, you are able to change the layout, what you see in the center and everything like that. You're able to see your battery percentage, your range. So all of the information that you do need is here, and it is super crisp. And then on the steering wheel, you do have these mounted buttons, which you're able to obviously adjust your volume, what you're listening to, your tracks and all of that. And on the left hand side is where you're able to adjust your cruise control, your lane keep assist, your adaptive cruise control, and all of that sort of stuff. Let's go check out the back. And in the back, space is quite limited. I mean, I haven't sat this close to a driver's seat in a long time, so it is quite squishy in the back here. But everything that you need is here. You do have your own vents, you've got your own climate control, you've got 2 USB slots, and you've got a cup holder with 2 cups. Check this out. There you go, and they're rubberized, so your drinks won't go flying around while your driver's having too much fun. Headspace is pretty good. I'm not actually touching the roof here, and I'm wearing a cap. And from a practicality point of view, you do have quite a bit of storage in the doors here, although it's a weird shape, so getting your bottle in here is a bit of a squeeze. But anyway, quite comfy. So I've come to the end of the i4 M50 review, and for 1.7 million rand you can get almost an M car with all the performance, luxury, comfort and tech that you could ever need. So in terms of the Greg Dennis review test, the GDR test, should you get it, should you drive it, or should you just remove it from your list of cars that you're looking at? This is an easy one. Just go ahead and get it. So thanks for watching another Greg Dennis review. If you enjoyed this, please will you drop a like below, and if you want to see more reviews like this and others, then make sure that you're subscribed, because I've got a lot coming up, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.